Hello and welcome everyone on this YouTube platform of Legacy IAS Academy. So today in this session, I'm going to discuss one of the most important thing, that is GS questions of modern history. So now Legacy IAS Academy gradually is coming up with previous year GS questions also. So in this session, I will be discussing the questions of modern history of UPSC mains examination 2020. So there are two questions, okay, which has been asked by UPSC in 2020. Okay, so today we'll be discussing those two questions. So as you can see these two questions on your screens, first question is evaluate the policies of Lord Curzon and their long-term implications on the national movements. And the second question is, since the decade of 1920s, the national movement acquired various ideological strands and thereby expanded its social base. Full stop, discuss. Such a beautiful questions have been asked by UPSC in 2020. Let me tell you, before discussing the questions, in GS paper 1 mains, examination, there are topics like geography, history, especially modern history, art and culture, world history, post independence. These are the topics which comes under history in GS paper 1. Okay. Then Indian society, or you can call it as social issues. Social issues. So today in this session, I am going to discuss the questions from modern history. So there were two important questions. One question was of 10 marks, that is you have to write 150 words. Another question 250 words, as you can see here. So these two questions have been asked in UPSC paper in 2020 mains examination. Clear? So these things are there in GS paper 1. So let me tell you first important thing, that modern history is one of the most important topics in your GS paper 1. Getting my point? So today we are going to discuss the questions from modern history. So we are not only going to discuss the questions, okay, I will tell you how to write answers, how to approach the questions, and how to decode the questions. Getting my point? Okay, because before writing you need to understand the question in a correct manner. Clear? Now so the first question which is asked by the UPSC examination, first question here is, now evaluate the policies of Lord Curzon, okay, and their long-term implications on national movement. Full stop. So here question is asking evaluate. Evaluate means you need to evaluate, that means you need to explain each and every policy, okay, which results into the enhance of nationalism. Okay, so When we say Lord Curzon became a viceroy of British India. So he was sent as a viceroy, governor general of British India in 1899 till 1905 he was here. Clear? So first of all, let me tell you what would be the approach of this question. So as you can see here, what would be the approach? First, you need to introduce about viceroy. That means Lord Curzon. You should know the timeline of this viceroy and then his personal overview with respect to India. How he perceived India as a viceroy. Getting my point? And you need to mention some background when he took over the position of viceroy in 1899. So at that time, what was the background? So these things you have to mention in your introduction, but in a very short form, because this question consists only 150 marks. So your introduction should not be more than 40 words. Clear? Then body of the answer. So first you need to discuss the policies of Lord Curzon. Now try to understand only those policies you have to discuss which created, okay, which resulted into nationalism in India. Clear? So you need to discuss only those policies, okay, which created spark or which gave spark to nationalism in India. Clear? Lord Curzon resulted into national movements. Getting my point? So second, you need to elaborate on the effects of those policies on Indian people, socially, economically, and politically. Clear? These things will be there in body of the answer. And the last, conclusion. So mention opinions, how these policies are far reaching and how these policies of Lord Curzon created or gave a sense of unity among Indians. Clear? This is the approach, okay, to write this answer. So now let me tell you how to write introduction, how to write answer. So I'll be discussing answer also. So now Lord Curzon, his timeline 1899 till 1905. Now you need to understand the background. Now why he was sent to India? It is said that Lord Curzon is the only viceroy or the governor general of India who knew around 80% of India or Indian society. Clear? So he was sent. So what was the background? In what background he was assigned as a viceroy of India? So the background was rising nationalism in India. This was the background. Second challenge at that time for the Britishers was emergence of youth. Clear? This is the most important thing. And third thing, demands of educated middle class. These demands are there in the background. Clear? Now Lord Curzon was sent to curb the nationalism. Okay, that means he should formulate those policies which curb the nationalism in India without any national movement. Without any national movement. Clear? Now try to understand. Before Lord Curzon in 1880, a viceroy was sent whose name was Lord Ripon. Lord Ripon was sent. He is considered as father of local self-government. Father of local self-government. That means Lord Ripon gave autonomy to local self-government. Second thing, Indian Council Act of 1892. This act gave the provision of indirect election. Indirect election. Now in legislative councils, the Indians started, okay, or Indians getting elected and their numbers were increased. And those Indians were having the feeling of nationalism. Getting my point? So in this scenario, Lord Curzon was sent. Now the whole picture is in front of you. Okay. Now you need to understand the context as per the question. So what will he do? So let me tell you about his policies. Okay. So Lord Curzon, so in introduction you have to mention only 3 to 4 lines, not more than that. Clear? So as you can see here, Lord Curzon was the Viceroy of India from 1899 to 1905, and this was the formative phase. Okay, this was the transitional phase of Indian national movement. Okay, and with his policies, Lord Curzon tried to suffocate the people of India, which resulted into awakening of nationalism. Clear? So first of all, let me tell you the policies of Lord Curzon. Now, so, and you can also make some diagrams like in the form of mind maps or charts. Okay, that will give you a nice presentation in your answers. So, there are three important things, three important policies. Three important policies are rift, struggle, and blast. Now rift was created by the policies of administrative reforms. So administrative reforms of Curzon created rift among educated middle class. Struggle. Now this struggle was created by educational reforms. Educational reforms. And the blast was created by his policy Partition of Bengal. Partition of Bengal 1905. These were three important policies which gave impetus to national awakening and national movement. Now, first we'll try to understand administrative reforms. What were his policies? So, there were two administrative reforms. Okay. So, administrative reforms of Lord Curzon, and two administrative reforms are, that is, he introduced and passed Calcutta Corporation Act, Calcutta Municipal Corporation Act, and this act was passed in 1899 itself. And second was police reforms of 1902. Two important policies. Now, what was there in Calcutta Municipal Corporation Act? So, when Lord Curzon came, now let me tell you the scenario first. Okay, Calcutta Corporation Act. So, see, in legislative councils, indirect election was introduced. Indirect election was introduced. Okay. Now, these peoples were elected by local bodies. So, the members of legislative councils were elected by local bodies, that is municipal corporation or district boards, etc. Now, the members who were entering into the legislative councils, they were having nationalistic feelings. So, to curb the nationalism, that means Lord Curzon will try to curb the entry of Indians into legislative councils. And how Lord Curzon can curb the entry of Indians in legislative councils? So, for that, Lord Curzon needs to increase official members of local bodies. That official members should be increased. So, the elected Indians of local bodies, they will not have much power. Getting my point? If official members are in majority, then those Indian members were not able to elect their members so that they can send in legislative councils. So, what he did? So, Calcutta Corporation Act 1899. Now, this act was having two agendas. One was declared agenda, another was hidden agenda. Okay, declared agenda means this was declared officially for the masses. Hidden was, what is the real intention behind this act of Britishers? So, what Lord Curzon said, that local bodies are inefficient. See, try to understand this scenario. Lord Curzon said that local bodies are inefficient. So, we should increase official members so that it can become efficient body. So, he gave that local self bodies are inefficient. they are not able to work properly. That is why increase in official members. Clear? Now what is the real agenda behind this? Hidden agenda of Curzon was, if we increase official members, so it resulted into curb of entry of Indians into legislative councils. So the real agenda, the hidden agenda was understood by educated middle class. They were dissatisfied with this hidden agenda of Lord Curzon. So this was a dissatisfaction for educated middle class. This is the most important reason. So this gave a feeling of nationalism, that this is our country and these foreigners are denying us, okay, to enter into our legislative councils. So this will give a feeling of nationalism. Clear? Calcutta Corporation Act comes under administrative reforms. Second, police reforms. So in 1902, Lord Curzon appointed commission on police reforms and its name was Fraser Commission. Fraser Commission of 1902. And this commission, now try to understand, this will also have declared and hidden agenda. This commission said that provincial police is inefficient. And Lord Curzon said to public that we need good law and order, and for law and order public will also give their consent, because everyone needs good law and order, effective law and order. Provincial police is inefficient. So what he did? He said we need to train the police. So this Fraser Commission said that provincial police is inefficient. So we need to establish police training institutes. So this established police training institutes for officers as well as constables also. And second, Lord Curzon created CID department. Now what was his declared agenda and what was his real agenda? Now try to understand. So through police reforms, his declared agenda and hidden agenda. So his declared agenda was, that means which is declared for public, for masses, that police is inefficient. Police is inefficient. Okay. So for that, for law and order. So what was his real agenda? the real agenda of Lord Curzon was to curb. So the real agenda was to curb nationalistic activities. Nationalistic activities, so that he can increase the police. So he increased the police. This was his real agenda. Again, this became a cause of pain for educated middle class. Cause of pain for middle class or for the people of India. Okay. So this will increase the sentiments of nationalism. So these were administrative reforms. These reforms created rift. Now struggle was created by educational reforms. Now try to understand. Struggle, that means educational reforms. Clear? Now let me tell you, youth are the backbone of Indian politics. Youth are the backbone of politics. Remember this thing. This is the formula. Youth are the backbone of politics. So educational reforms. Now, during the time period of Lord Curzon, there was rising trend of nationalism, and youth also started taking participation in nationalistic activities. Now, now Curzon will try to reduce youth from nationalistic activities. He will try to curb the participation of youth in nationalistic activities. So he appointed Rayleigh Commission. Rayleigh Commission in 1902. This commission was appointed by Lord Curzon to review Indian higher education. Indian higher education. Okay. So they gave their recommendations. Now try to understand. So based on this commission, one act was introduced. Indian University Act, based on the recommendation of this commission. Indian University Act of 1904 was introduced, and in this act the power of university was in the hands of government. What they did, what Curzon did, first he increased official members. Official means government members. Official members in governing council of university. Governing council of university. And it is also said, if the students and teachers, if they are found to participate in national movement, so the affiliation of university will be cancelled. A strict affiliation was followed. A strict affiliation of university. And if students are found in nationalistic activities, they will not be given character certificates. So from here the concept of character certificate started. Concept of character certificates. Okay. And they will also review the education system. Education, that means what teacher is teaching in the classroom, that will also be investigated by government officials. So what would be the declared and hidden agenda here? So let me tell you. Now through educational reforms, Curzon was having two agendas: declared agenda and hidden agenda. Declared agenda was to make Indian education system better. Education system better and disciplined. But the hidden agenda, so when government say that we are going to make Indian education system better and disciplined, so parents will also support government, okay, but the hidden agenda of government here is that educational centers became the manufacturer of revolutionaries. That is why, to curb the participation of students, Act was introduced. This is the main agenda. So this created struggle, and the last thing, rift. Lord Curzon's biggest blunder, that is partition of Bengal. Okay, partition of Bengal. So the first proposal of partition of Bengal was given in 1903, and in 1904 Lord Curzon reviewed the situation. And in 1905 Lord Curzon announced partition of Bengal. So this partition was done on communal lines, on religious lines. Though the partition of Bengal was supported by nationalists, but what they wanted, so nationalists wanted that, okay, this is Bengal. So at that time, Bengal also includes Bangladesh, also includes West Bengal, also includes Orissa, Bihar. Okay, so nationalists also wanted that Bengal is such a large area that it is impossible to administer from one city, okay, one center. So Bengal should be partitioned, but it should be partitioned like between north to south, north and south. Okay, this was accepted by nationalists, but what Lord Curzon did, Lord Curzon partitioned Bengal on this line. That means religious line, Muslims and this side Hindus. This was not accepted by nationalists. Getting my point? This was not accepted by nationalists. So what is the declared and hidden agenda here? So declared agenda of Lord Curzon, that Bengal is a large territory. So for administrative convenience, it is partitioned. Okay. And on the other hand, hidden agenda. What was his hidden agenda? See, Bengal was the capital of British. Bengal was the capital of British. Bengal was the center of nationalistic activities. Center of nationalistic activities. And Lord Curzon was sent to curb the nationalism. So he made a mistake. He partitioned Bengal, okay, on religious lines. Clear? So that is why, to curb nationalistic activities, he partitioned on nationalistic lines. On religious lines, he partitioned on religious lines. That is, he tried to break Hindu-Muslim unity. And this resulted into, because of this policy, this resulted into a birth of first national movement in India, that is Swadeshi movement. Getting my point? So these policies resulted into national movement in India. Clear? How to write answer? Okay. So to write in mains examination, your concept should be clear. Okay, your concept should be clear. So as you can see here, because of his partition of Bengal, this was a political masterstroke to break the growing nationalism by dividing the Bengal on religious lines. Okay, but these policies proves disastrous for Lord Curzon as well as for British. Okay, this sparked political reactions in India, and a strong feeling of nationalism began to take place in India. Clear? So this is the important thing that we need to understand, that the policies of Lord Curzon, okay, see, Lord Curzon was sent. So why he was sent? Background of Lord Curzon. Background was rising nationalism. So Lord Curzon was sent. To curb nationalism. Clear? But because of his policies, provoked nationalism, provoked Indians, and this resulted into national consciousness. And finally it gave birth to Indian national movement in the form of Swadeshi movement of 1905. So before starting your answer, if you draw this chart, okay, you will get an additional weightage in your examination. Okay, this is the answer. Okay, so after partition of Bengal, you will see the tradition of Indian national movement was started. India's first mass movement took place in the form of Swadeshi movement, and this intensified the nationalistic feelings in the whole of India. And this marked the new era of Indian politics. So the social base of the movement was also widened. Now people will participate in mass movement. So finally, at last, you can write conclusion that Curzon's policies help in kickstart the movement at higher pace. Though he came for curbing the nationalism, but he gave his policies provoked nationalism. Clear? So the course and speed of national movement would not have been the same if Curzon's policies would not have been so imperialistic and reactionary in nature. This would be the answer. So the question was very easy. The only thing is your concept should be clear. You should know what is the approach to write this answer. Okay. Now another question which was asked by UPSC. Second question here is, since the decade of 1920s. Now try to understand very carefully. Since the decade of 1920s, the national movement acquired various ideological strands and thereby expanded its social base. Full stop, discuss. Yes. Now see, if you know the concepts, you will be able to write a beautiful answer. Clear? Now, what would be the approach? First, try to introduce the scenario of decade 1920. How the things have been changed in 1920. There are various reasons. Advent of Gandhi, end of First World War, reactionary policies of British. This gave impetus to rise of pan-India level movement and the expansion of social base. Then, in body of the answer, explain various ideologies that developed during 1920s and how it helped in expanding the base of social movement. And at last, you have to write conclusion. Okay, so try to understand. This question is also very easy. So 1920 is the era where a mass leader has been emerged. That is Gandhi. And various other leaders also started participating in Indian politics. Okay. Now you can see here, 1920s witnessed a transformation period of Indian national movement. Okay, new ideologies have been emerged, new groups have been emerged, new social base came in forefront. Okay, so these things were there. Okay, so these things gave impetus to mass movement. Okay, so as you can see how these things were emerged. See, the era of 1920s. Various forms of ideologies emerged. Ideologies. It is the era of ideologies. Okay. Now, like Gandhism, Gandhian ideology was there, Gandhian movements. Then another ideology. See, in 1917, one of the most important event that took place in the world, that is Russian Revolution. Russian Revolution. That means Russia was the first country in the world where communism took place or emerged in a real form. So Russian Revolution also resulted into the change of global politics. So after 1917 in India, you will see the birth of communism. Communism, another ideology. Another ideology, that is communalism. Communalism in its rigorous form. Birth of various religious organization and religious struggle was started. Hindu Mahasabha was established in 1915. Muslim League was already established in 1906 and birth of RSS in 1925. And then another ideology, that is revolutionary activities. Revolutionary activities. These ideologies were there, and social base was also expanded. Now, social base, peasants, involvement of peasants, women started participating, laborers, farmers, etc. This resulted into expansion of social base. Okay, though differences were there, but all the ideologies, whole social base opposed colonialism. They were against colonialism, opposed colonialism. And that is why it resulted into pan India level movement. Pan India or mass movement. This is the answer of your question. Second question. So the only thing here is you should know the background, you should know the concepts. Okay. So as you can see here, clear? So this infusion of new groups and new ideologies resulted or gave mass momentum. Okay. And this became the most important thing for achieving the freedom. So Gandhian ideology launched non-cooperation, civil disobedience movement, okay, Satyagraha. These were the principles of Gandhi. Okay, different principles. So Gandhian ideology was there. Now this Gandhian ideology is based on Satyagraha, non-violence, truth. So techniques, ahimsa, truth, Hindu-Muslim unity. These were the tools of Gandhi. Clear? And that is why in early 1920s, Gandhi launched first true nationwide movement. Second important ideology, communism. A full left-wing group was developed in India in late 1920s because of Russian Revolution. Russian Revolution was already happened in 1917, which was successful, and it impacted India also. It resulted into birth of Communist Party in India in 1925 by M.N. Roy. So M.N. Roy created Communist Party of India in 1925. Then the most important thing, trade union. So All India Trade Union Congress was established in 1920. Workers and peasant parties was established in 1927. All these parties extended their assistant extended their reach of communism throughout India among the workers as well as peasants. Okay, now another communalism. Yes, religious conflict. So the seeds of communalism was already sown by Lord Curzon through partition of Bengal on religious lines. Clear? So after 1922, you will see communalism came in its ugly form. Ugly form in the sense, let me tell you that Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he joined Congress. But because he was having some differences with Gandhi, he joined Muslim League in 1924. Getting my point? And in 1925, birth of RSS. 1915, birth of Hindu Mahasabha. So old communal organizations were revived and fresh ones were founded like Muslim League and Hindu Mahasabha. Muslim League was founded in 1906, Hindu Mahasabha in 1915 by Madan Mohan Malviya, and after this new organizations were founded, that is RSS in 1925. So a communal tinge came within the Congress and Indian politics. Clear? Then revolutionary activism. Yes. Now let me tell you that whenever there is a failure of mass movement, it results into revolutionary activities. And revolutionary activities inspired the youth of India like Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, Ashfaqullah Khan, Ram Prasad Bismil. So you can see here the failure of peaceful mediums had frustrated the youth and they began to mobilize with secret organization like Hindustan Republic Association 1923, and after Kakori Dakati, this Hindustan Republican organization was banned. So Bhagat Singh changed the organization of this name and he created Hindustan Socialist Republic Association in 1928. And important members Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah Khan, Chandrasekhar Azad, Bhagat Singh, these were youth, and these leaders inspired youth of India so that they can engage in anti-colonial activities. Okay, and they encouraged the youth of India. So these were four major ideologies. Okay. Now expansion of social base, second part of the question. How social base was expanded? So participation of different communities. So with Gandhi, for the first time, okay, the participation of rural areas, okay. So in Gandhian movement, participation of rural areas, mass protest, mass movement started. Getting my point? Then tribals were also there like Alluri, Sitaram, Raju. Okay, these people encouraged in challenging the authority of British rule. And then because of this new awakening, suppressed social classes of India like Dalits and all, so they also started their movement like Vaikom Satyagraha of Kerala of 1924, then Adi Dharm movement of Punjab in 1926. These movement became the aspirations for depressed classes so that they can come forward and they can also raise their voice against colonial struggle and upper caste. Clear? Women. So after 1920s, women were no longer remain confined to the houses. Okay. So they became freedom fighters, and some important names like Rajkumari, Amrit Kaur, Suchita Kriplani, Sarojini Naidu, Aruna Asaf Ali, these important women, they shaped India's national movement. Okay. So rise of left, rise of labor class. So Communist Party was already established in 1925. So after the establishment, Communist Party mobilized the laborers in Bombay labor strikes, at Tisco also, railways also. So when Britishers banned Communist Party of India in 1934, at that time Communist Party of India joined hand with Congress so that they can widen their social base. Okay. So Communist Party of India also supported peasant movements like Eka movement, Tebhaga movements, etc. Then labor class, the rise of labor class. So the labor class also participated in the strikes of Bombay. Okay. Then legalization of Trade Union Act of 1926. So in 1926, Trade Union Act was legalized. This boosted the labor's activity also. So labor strikes you can also see during the time period of civil disobedience movement, which was started by Mahatma Gandhi in 1930, and this was a major blow to the British. Okay, so Ambedkar also helped in emancipation of their class, so he became champion the cause of depressed class. Okay, All India Trade Union Congress was already established in 1920 to organize laborers. Then the party of Bhagat Singh, Hindustan Republic Association, they worked for complete independence, and they also inspired youth of India. Okay, so these diverse trends shows the expansion of social base of the movement. Okay, so these are some important things. So finally, you can conclude your answer that because of rise of Gandhian movement, mass movements, revolutionary groups, communist parties, these different ideologies diversified India's freedom struggle. These different ideologies diversified the composition of national movements through involvement of various communities like peasants, working class, laborers, women, etc. And in this manner, we can say that the earlier mass movement were elite movement because it was only supported by urban middle class, but now it is became mass movement. So if you see the movement of 1905, that is Swadeshi movement. Swadeshi movement cannot be called as mass movement because it was only confined to urban areas. Involvement of educated middle class only. But because of Gandhian approach, different ideologies. So because of Gandhian communism, communalism, and revolutionary activities. Okay, so these ideologies widen social base, widen the social base. Okay, and in this manner, you will see that the nature of Indian national movement was changed from elite movement to mass movement. So in 1920s and after 1920s, you will see the nature of Indian national movement has been changed from elite to mass movement, which helped India in its freedom struggle. And finally, on 15th of August 1947, in those for more such sessions, like our channel Legacy IAS Academy and share these videos with your friends as well as those who are preparing for civil services examination. Thank you so much.